One,
Turn
two,
my phone down.
three, four. We have a quorum, right?
Yes.
We have a quorum, and
Yep.
it is 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Redevelopment Commission of New Bern. We did have a small break in July. We did not meet, so it is good to see everybody back here tonight. I also had notification that Commissioner Strickland was on the way, and he will be joining us a few minutes after 6. But we have a quorum here right now. So let's get started with the roll call.
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Beth Walker.
Here.
Jimmy Dillahunt.
Present.
Julius Parham.
Here.
Kip Paragoy.
Here.
Leander Morgan, Jr. Sarah Proctor. Sharon Bryant.
Here.
Steve Strickland. Tabari Wallace.
Here.
Ex officio officers Barbara Best, Hazel Royal, Rick Prill. Madam, we have a quorum.
Okay. Well, let's get started then with our mission statement and our guiding principles. And if you don't have them in your packet, does somebody have them in their packet and can read the mission statement for me? For us? You have it? You have it?
I don't have it.
Yes,
Oh, you
I
don't
got
have
it.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Go, Tabari.
All right, the New Bern Redevelopment Commission, leading the way for the community transformation and improvement by directly addressing community needs in the vital areas of public health, infrastructure, housing, and economic development. The Commission is committed to an accountable, transparent, and publicly driven process.
Thank you very much. And our guiding principles, and we'll start with you then, Commissioner Parham.
Past, present, future, equal time.
We respect others' opinions.
Listen to build consensus.
We got one more.
Share accurate information, public and perception.
Stay focused, be action oriented.
And the last one is
Believe.
believe. There you go.
What a question mark, baby.
Believe with an exclamation point.
Always
not a
gonna
question
laugh.
mark. Okay. All right, well, since we did miss our meeting, we have a full agenda tonight, so I'm going to get right into it. And if you look at the agenda, there are 13 items. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. I don't think we need any discussion on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries and the agenda is approved. We also have meeting minutes from June to approve. They were sent out. Zeb, you did an excellent job of sending us our packets early on this time around. And I know there were 19 pages in that packet, so I appreciate your disclaimer of only printing it if somebody asked you to. Hope y'all printed out the meeting minutes. And are there any questions or concerns? If not, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from June. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and we will approve the meeting minutes from June. Now it is our time of public comment.
Madam Chair, you'll notice in your packet, added late was the consideration of unsealing the closed minutes that we approved last in June.
Oh, yes. So can we just have a little clarification of what that means, Attorney?
Sure.
Unsealing the minutes and why we would or would not do that.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Commission, good evening. As you recall, several months ago, you engaged in a number of closed sessions. Those dialogues and deliberations were not subject to public inspection pursuant to the statute. However, there were minutes, a general account of those closed sessions were drafted by staff, and you all previously approved those minutes. Now that the purpose for those closed sessions has been accomplished, you now have an opportunity to unseal those minutes so that members of the public can now review those deliberations. The purpose of the closed session statute is to protect certain conversations such that a public purpose can be accomplished as those public purposes are outlined in the statute. Once the purpose is accomplished, it is prudent for public bodies to unseal those minutes. So I think what staff is requesting now is that the closed session minutes from
October through February.
October 2023 through February 2024, that you have previously approved, be unsealed and available to members of the public if they would like to inspect them.
Are there any questions from the commission on that? If we have no questions, can we get a motion to unseal the minutes from
October 2023 through February 2024.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. And can I ask for all in favor of that? Say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Okay, the motion carries. We will unseal those minutes that we had in our closed session. All right. All the minutes are taken care of now, and I believe it's time to move to public comment. If there's anyone that has comments, would like to share from the public tonight, we'll have 4 minutes to do so. No? Just listeners tonight? Okay. Well, then we will move to our first resolution. We have 2 on our agenda. The first resolution we are considering approving is to accept the purchase agreement submitted by the New Bern Housing Authority for the 3 lots, the 3 houses that we have completed on Walt Bellamy Drive. And honestly, we've talked about this a lot. We have, but this is the official approving of the resolution for the sale of each of those 3 properties. And that is what took up the bulk of your package, all the legal documentation for that. So are there any concerns, questions, or conversation we need to have?
And Madam Chair, just as a point of clarity, there are 3 resolutions included in your agenda package, 1 for each of the structures. If you all are inclined to move to approve or adopt those resolutions, so long as the vote is unanimous, you can deal with all of those resolutions in one vote.
So with a unanimous vote, they can be treated as one resolution?
Correct.
All 3 properties?
Correct.
Okay. And like I said, we've had plenty of time to talk about this, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase agreement from the New Bern Housing Authority for all 3 of the Walt Bellamy homes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we need a roll call vote for that resolution, or can we all in favor?
Madam Chair, I need a question before we call for the vote.
Okay.
I need to know from the executive director, was there anything that we need to be aware of that might cause some concern?
No, sir. The presentation that Mr. Barner made in June was reflected in both the resolution and the purchase agreement that was submitted.
Okay.
All three homes were. They have offered $164,000 for all 3 homes, making their total offer $492,000 for the project. Our cost with expenses and encumbrances was $429,385.44, making a net profit for the commission to reinvest into further development $62,000, $614.56. If you were to drill down on that, the homes were constructed for about $159 per square foot, and that compares to the North Carolina average by $192. And so they have offered us a fair price. It's pretty straightforward language in the documentation, and
Okay.
so therefore I've submitted the request to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
One
That was a good
additional
question.
question. Has it been confirmed that we get to keep the $62,000?
All $492,000 will go back to the general fund of the Redevelopment Commission to be reinvested in further redevelopment efforts.
Okay.
Good news. And You have a question?
And just a point for the records, that those numbers that you shared, that was on the build of the parcels of the individual individual houses. That did not include our cost to acquire the property and to clean and ready the property for development.
That is correct.
Okay. So all total, we wind up as basically a wash after you count those expenses for acquisition and preparing the property.
I believe between acquisition and site prep, it was about $50,000. So we're to the good about $12,000, even if you include those costs. But
Plus our holding costs and mowing it and those kind of things.
yes, sir.
Commissioner Morgan?
Thank you, Zach.
Did we put any stipulations in the contract, or with us being surrogate parents, do we have any say-so, or do we even want, or do we have any need to have any say-so, or do we even care what happens after the sale is complete and what happens afterwards?
Sure. I think as the gentleman presented last month, the restrictions that HUD imposes on the Housing Authority are far greater than the restrictions, any restrictions that this body would impose on them. So restrictions and deed covenants really weren't necessary. They will be. The reason we're able to do a direct sale, and maybe Madam Attorney would like to speak in greater detail, is because they're providing public service, which would be public housing. So that is in alignment with our purpose, the purpose of this commission.
That's correct, Mr. Morgan. As the gentleman presented, the New Bern Housing Authority is a public housing agency. So they're under a number of federal and state regulations as to what they can and cannot do. So there's already a great deal of stipulations that the Housing Authority is under, and those attached to the properties as well. So the properties can only be used, and I think the resolution suggests, for housing for low to moderate income persons, consistent with the Housing Authority's mission.
Thank you.
Okay, those were very good questions. Anyone else? So we did have a motion, and I believe we had a second?
Yes.
Okay, and we've had discussion. So back to my question, is this a roll call vote, or is this a,
We can do a roll call vote.
we could do a roll call vote. Will you help us with that?
I certainly will. Beth Walker,
Yes.
Jimmy Dillahunt,
Yes.
Julius Parham,
Yes.
Kip Paragoy,
Yes.
Leander Morgan,
Yes.
Sarah Proctor,
Yes.
Sharon Bryant,
Yes.
Steve Strickland,
Yes.
Tabari Wallace.
Yes.
It is unanimous.
All right. Thank you for that. The motion carries. Our next resolution, if you remember last time we met, Margaret Shields with Fund Development LLC, grant writing services, came and discussed with us and answered questions for us of her services, of what she would provide as in grant writing services. And in your packet was an agreement that we could consider, and that is what this resolution is. Consider approving the resolution to enter into a contract with her company for grant writing services for the Redevelopment Commission.
Madam Chairman, on this piece, personally, I think it's a good idea we have someone to do grants, but and the attorney and the executive director, can we put in here for 1 year?
Yes, sir. This is
And the reason I say 1 year is because I want to see what this person can do in a year. I want to contract something so long to where, we tie it in and we're not getting anything out of it.
Yeah, this contract would be for the period of 12 months,
Okay.
with fees included to write and research no less than 10 grants in a 12-month period. I did speak to Ms. Shields this morning. She wished to convey that those 10 grants will be written over a 12-month period, not at the start of this grant. But other than that, the terms are outlined in the memo provided to you in the packet.
Commissioner Parham, on page 2 of 5 of the agreement, if you look at subsection 3.1, This agreement
Gotcha.
automatically terminates on
Okay.
August 30th, 2025,
I'm sorry.
unless you all agree to extend it.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, thank you.
I think that the other part of what needs to be talked about is the size of the grants that we would expect to receive. I mean, we're not, in another document, I think in our package, there's references to several $15,000 grants to help fulfill our mission. I don't know that $15,000 grants are going to get us very far. And we're going to spend about $13,000 from what I read during the year to try to obtain grants. And, you know, if you look at the cost-benefit ratio of something like that, it doesn't work out very well. Is there any way that we can stipulate the grants that she goes after, or by size or conditions? I mean, the grants that she submitted to us and provided to us that are available are all very, very small grants.
That's a good point, Commissioner Paraguay. This agreement does contemplate that she will only pursue grants that are mutually agreed upon by the executive director at your direction with her collaboration.
So we'll see them. We will see the grants.
The executive director will see them.
Okay.
And he certainly can disseminate that information. If you
Good.
all give him instructions or direction to only pursue grants over a certain dollar value, then that certainly he's bound by that direction.
And I noticed that she's got there's two fee structures, one for research and then one for actually the grant writing. So I'm thinking that the research would help identify some of those grants.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's a less amount per hour for the research.
That's correct. Also, all of the grants that Ms. Shields would go after would be project-based grants. That was the reason we split all of our initiatives into project teams, and so the project teams would actually be involved in the writing of the grants. So the commission will be involved. You won't just get a memo from me saying, "Is this a good idea, yay or nay?" You'll actually be involved in the writing of these grants. So you'll be very heavily involved before we even lift a pen to write for them.
But the key is guiding her research for grants of significance rather than smaller grants that really are not going to help us a whole bunch.
Couldn't agree more.
I would say on the flip side, if we get one of those, she's paid for herself, and we can acquire a piece of property, or like property is not expensive in the redevelopment area, so I kind of disagree a little bit. If she gets $10,000-$15,000 grants, I'm not a good math person, but I think that's $150,000 that we don't have now at a cost of $13,000 to $15,000. I'd be all in favor of that. So.
Any other questions
Told you I'm not good at
concerning this? And we haven't put it out, we don't have a motion yet, but I just wanted to have everybody have a good understanding of what we were looking at.
Make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and I'll open it up for any additional questions commission might have. None from Commissioner Strickland's side of the room? It's odd to have you guys down there.
Time out.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and why don't we do a roll call vote for that one too?
Absolutely. Beth Walker,
Yes.
Jimmy Dillahunt,
Yes.
Julius Parham,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Leander Morgan,
Yes.
Sarah Proctor,
Yes.
Sharon Bryant,
Yes.
Steve Strickland,
Yes.
Tabari Wallace.
Yes.
It is unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Now we are moving into new business, and new business tonight is going to be project group updates. We have two. We have the West A Street update and the Bloomfield project update. So I'm going to go with the West A Street project update first. I'm thinking that's you, Commissioner Fairclough?
Yes, Mr. Dillahunt and I have been working on that, and we're still waiting for the survey work to be completed that we authorized back in June.
Okay.
I've been in contact with the surveyor's office today and have not been able to obtain a current status of the project or when it might be anticipated. The office manager who knows all that stuff was out on vacation. So, but we have communicated and left messages with each other, and she promises me an update by the end of the week when she gets back from vacation.
Okay. All right, well, we appreciate you guys working on that and pushing them forward. Keep trying.
Yeah.
Any questions about the West A Street before we move on to the next one? No? Okay. The Bloomfield project update, I believe the Bloomfield project group met and has an update for us. Is that you, Commissioner Wallace?
Oh, yes, ma'am, Vice Chair. Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I'm sorry. At 6 p.m. on July 16th, at the Redevelopment Services, committee members Julius Parham, Sharon Bryant, and Steve Strickland, and yours truly, met to discuss future steps of the now renamed Bloomfield Duplex Development Project. That objective is to develop and provide affordable duplex units to low wealth and cost burden families. We estimate about 18 months out once we get everything rolling. Our primary goal was to construct 3 duplex units, a total of 6 housing units in total, and these units will represent an economic mobility opportunity for moderate income households. The key stakeholders and roles in this process will be us, the Redevelopment Commission will provide the oversight. The City of New Bern will be the governance and funding, for-profit developer, cost burden families, architects and engineers, and construction managers. The phases of the development. Phase 1 is, again, planning and design, which we're in now. Tasks thereafter will be the feasibility study and needs assessment, site survey and planning, preliminary design and architectural plans, funding and financing to be confirmed, and approvals and permit acquisition from local authorities. Phase 2 is pre-construction. Phase 3 is construction. Phase 4 is inspection and quality assurance. Phase 5 is post-construction, and Phase 6 would be the sale and disposition of the units. We have provided some schematics for your reference, but the estimated total budget, number 5 is the estimated total budget. Land acquisition is 0. Pre-construction, we kind of estimate to be $25,000. But we met in person and had a pretty good meeting. I mean, I'm so delighted with the expertise that was gathered around the table during that night. And then we handed over the keys to the kingdom to the ED, and he has been excellent in moving forward and pulling all the minds together to move this, to expedite this process.
Okay.
So I'm just so glad we got the plans in. We got a promise to the community, and now we're following through. So.
And I saw that there was an RFP for developers for the project. Is that still where we are seeking?
The RFP should be ready for review by next meeting, and should this commission take action to release that RFP, I'll be happy to make sure that we get it out into the wild to attract all the developers to this exciting project.
Okay.
And as a Madam Chair, as a point of personal privilege, I do want to affirm the ED's professionalism in this manner. He actually directed me. I was a one-man army going forward, and he was like, hold up, boss, you really need to get a committee. We can't be acting on an individual basis. So we pulled a committee together. They were great to accept at that short time period. And then again, he wanted us to present this in public and to get a consensus from the Redevelopment Commission before we went to the RFP. So that's why there was a delay for this meeting. And then, again, the ED's ready to go next week once we give our approval when it comes out.
Okay. Well, appreciate you guys getting together and getting the work done. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to understand how it works with our normal, like, restrictions on selling property. I don't understand the process with the developer, just because I haven't seen it go through yet. So at what point do we just sell it to a developer with their agreement to do it this way?
So a request for proposal would go out, would go out to the public, and basically developers would bid for this project. Since we've laid out the project, that would be the restrictions, that therein would be the restrictions that would apply. And because it's a public purpose, I believe, and Madam Attorney can speak to that a little bit more because that's legalese and I don't speak it. But because it's a public purpose, we'd be able to do land acquisition by direct sale. So, am I correct?
Once we have some more details, some meat on those bones about what exactly we're looking for, then I can better forecast what mechanism can be used to make the conveyances.
Because, I mean, this just seems to me like what, we got an RFP, we built those, and like they're hard for us to get rid of under our normal processes. So how is this different? I just saw developer sales on open market. Like, how's this one different than our normal restrictions?
A developer would be allowed to sell on the open market, which would make these, because they're duplexes, and I don't want to step on your toes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
You prefer, because these are really meant for workforce housing, workforce families. They would not be ideal for organizations like the Housing Authority and those kinds of things. We really are working towards owner-occupied rental units so that we can see wealth mobility.
Yeah.
So that would be the reason we're trying to attract a developer to sell these on the open market. And kind of takes the whole sales process out of our hands as the Redevelopment Commission so that
Gotcha.
That can be handled on the open market.
I'm all for that.
Yeah,
I was wondering how we got to that point and haven't been able to get to that point ever before.
Well,
That's why I'm asking.
we're charting uncharted territory.
I like uncharted territory.
So we're trying new things.
And we learn from the past. I mean, we had intensive conversations about a dual way to approach this, and this was I think this was the best one we came about. It requires the least discretionary effort of all of us, which we all work, and the ED, and we still came out to the same conclusion or the same adjudication at the end.
Yeah, I would describe this as more as seeking a development partner than looking for someone to do a project for us or buy a piece of property.
So much better said, Steve. Thank you.
The fact that we're going to get, according to the proposal I read, 20% of the proceeds, we're basically going to be subordinating the land to
That would basically be our contribution to a partnership is the way we envision it. I think everything's kind of subject to change depending on what comes back from the
Yeah.
RFP request.
But because of this quasi-partnership, does that tie our hands and limit the flexibility? Because we're going to have to sign releases and everything else.
There are some tools in the redevelopment statutes for economic development purposes, and it may be that the RFP that's being contemplated will check those boxes to allow us to enable those tools. But again, as I indicated to Commissioner Proctor, once we have a better idea of what exactly the commission is seeking, we can identify which mechanism gives us the best opportunity to accomplish those goals.
And again, by next month, Madam Attorney and I will definitely put our heads together and put more meat on those bones so that we can present a RFP that's ready for release.
Okay.
Okay, I have one question. Have you done an assessment of the area to see what would they sell for as far as comparables?
Comparables would not yet. In the pre-construction phase, which is where we are, a feasibility study is in the plan.
Okay, and you are talking about the property that we own on Bloomfield Street, I presume.
Yep, that would be the feasibility study, sir.
And you can get how many duplexes there?
Project is asking for 3 duplexes.
Yeah, 3 duplexes, but it's 6 different individual units.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
doing
2
that.
per.
And that's right across from Cadet Places on Bloomfield?
Correct.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's the other one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update, Commissioner Wallace. That's not an action item. The next agenda item is our
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Person, I did have a report I needed to bring forth as it related to the neighborhood group. I am still a committee of one, so I meet with this particular work group almost on a daily basis, every time I look in the mirror. But today my report will come in the form of wisdom. Wisdom in the fact that I do come in contact with someone who works diligently in the community and in the neighborhood more than anybody else that I know. So what I have done is, as it relates to the Duffyfield Residents Council, the Phoenix Group, the People's Assembly, the block captains, I found a common denominator in all of the community groups, and I've asked Barbara Sampson if she would come and kind of give us an update on what all of the groups are doing. They are doing some exciting things, such as a shot spotter. If I may, just have Mrs. Barbara to come up and just share some of the highlights that she has lived and has been to all of the meetings. I haven't been, but Ms. Sampson has been. If I may.
I
This is a part of
appreciate
my
that effort.
report.
I just want to make sure that's okay, as it was not on our official agenda to go there.
It's a regular meeting, so if the majority of the commission would like to hear from Ms. Sampson, you certainly, that's your prerogative. And I'm seeing
Okay.
some head shaking yes.
See lots of yeses. Okay, so we'd
Thank you.
love to have Ms. Sampson come share that with us. We're always in the mood for good news.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to give honor to God and to my father, the late County Commissioner Johnny Sampson Jr., and my mother, Dr. Reverend Ethel Sampson. I thank you all for letting me come forth to state my opinion on things that's going on. Well, in Duffyfield, well, I'm in everything it is, I'm in it. But I deal with the Duffyfield Residents Council too, and they bring forth stuff like the shot spotter, and we know that they are doing a good job. A lot of this shooting that's been going on, soon as it happens, about 5 or 10 minutes, they there. So we know it's working, you know. And I want to make sure I let you know I have nothing against guns, and I know people need guns for protection. But some people just don't need guns in their hand. So I'm thankful for the shot spotter. And that with the Duffyfield, when they have their meetings, that's the kind of stuff that we bring forth. And Jamara Wallace, he's the chairman of that. So anytime you want to get up with the chairman, get up with Jamara Wallace. I'm the chairman of the People Assembly. And what we do, like I do now, I go to different meetings and listen to what's going on so I can bring it back to my group. We had, this summer, brought some lawyers from Raleigh to help people that, for your property tax, if you win a discount, you had to follow certain criteria, you had to make a certain income limit, and you can be a veteran, but you had to be 100%, and you get an even better discount. We brought them forth, and it wasn't a lot of people that participated in that, but we are coming again next year with the same thing, and I'm hoping that maybe we can get the Redevelopment Commission to make us some flyers and stuff if we need it, because we do need to make people aware in the community what's going on. And our block captain, we just had a soul food festival. That was a group of vendors. We got together. We had nonprofit organizations that make people aware of what was available to them. We had vendors on the outside, food trucks, and we had people on the inside selling different articles like handbags, hats, and different things just to give people a chance to make some money. But then to give the community and the children a chance to come together. We had cakewalks, and we had games for people to play. It's just a thing that a camaraderie that we want everybody to have a good time. I'm not saying we make a whole lot of money from it, but it brings the community together. And I like for you all to still sometimes step in and come out when you see our flyers out, and come out and see what we got going on. Because it'll be good to see other people from other communities. And then we have the garden. The garden is Jennifer, running by Jennifer. She does a good job with, especially she being Craven Terrace. And it's not just for Craven Terrace people, it's for people around the community. She grows fruits and vegetables, and she give it out to people. And she teach them how they can make food with what they grow. And then again, it's getting everybody used to a whole lot of different stuff. And that's what my agenda is about, trying to make sure that the community know what is available for them. And I like for everybody, especially you all, to come out, and if I need some flyers or something made or any activities we are going to have, I would like to be able to come to the Redevelopment Commission and get them to help me to make some flyers. And then we do the community cleanup sometimes. The Phoenix House, I'm in the Phoenix House too, of course. You know, that's when they give you a certain amount. For ones that own the home, you got to own your home and you got to stay in the home. It might be plumbing, it might be your roof, it might be your floor, and we give you up to a certain amount to fix your house and stuff up. So, and I'm the vice chairman of that, and Robert Benjamin, he's the chairman. So, if you know what I be trying to do, I be trying to make myself available mostly for the community that don't really have a lot, but I let them know even though you don't have a lot, you can work your way on getting a lot. Because I did come from Craven Terrace, but I had the mindset, and it could be my mother and my father that gave me the mindset, but I still had to, retain what they gave me. So I'm up there in Pleasant Hill. I have a double wide trailer that I own, that I'm paying mortgage on, but I'm still owning it. But I'm trying to give them the mentality that don't worry about where you came from. It's not where you came from, it's where you end up at. And so I want the Redevelopment Commission to keep us in mind. If you don't want to be a don't ask, don't tell policy, if you have any kind of grants available for any of those groups, please let us know. And it would be nice if you all have an agenda out there when you all have your meetings so we can follow along too. And I know that you said you're going to open up the closed session from October 2023 to February 2024. If possible, I'd like to have a copy of that and a copy of these minutes, if possible. And it's not hard. Robert Morgan can give you any info you need about me. I don't care about your phone number. I don't care about your email. Because as long as you do send positive stuff through there, we're going to be great. So thank you all for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Sampson.
I wanted to thank the board for allowing Mrs. Sampson to come and to help shed a little bit of light on what is going on in the neighborhood work group. And we will be working in concert with those groups in which Mrs. Sampson is a part, and I think a very vital and integral part of what's going on in the community and in the neighborhood. So we will definitely be using all of our resources because there's strength in numbers. And I just wanted to tell you all, thank you once again, and thank you, Ms. Barbara Sampson.
Yes, and thank you for attending our meeting, because that is how information is shared. And we are open to the public to come to our meetings, and we really do appreciate when the public comes. So thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you.
Morgan. And I'm going to ask staff for the staff report.
Absolutely. It's been a wonderful month, a couple months actually, July and August. West 8th Street, as Commissioner Paraguay mentioned, is coming along. The surveyors were a little bit delayed because of Debbie over the last couple of weeks, but they should be back out there in a little while. I did want to make mention tonight that the Housing Authority has hired a national consultant to come to New Bern called CRI, who will be working on the Choice Neighborhood Initiative project, the implementation project. As the Redevelopment Commission is a strategic partner with the Housing Authority, will be definitely involved in that process in co-developing the redevelopment of Trent Court as that project progresses. I think everything else on my staff report is listed. I did want to go over our financials ending the month. We ended the month with a fund balance of $361,698,100.65. Our costs have been relatively mitigated to simply mowing and upkeep of the properties that we administer. One of the most major costs that you'll see will be the cost of the surveyor and engineer contract that you all approved last month. As soon as that work is complete, we'll be paying that out in the amount of $11,575. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is as succinct a staff report as I can give. But what questions do you all have?
I have one question.
Sure.
What is the status of the house on Eubanks?
That's a great question. Actually, Commissioner Parham and I have been, Parham, goodness gracious. I looked at Julius and thought Sarah.
That is a big difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Next time I let my hair grow.
Commissioner Proctor and I have been trading emails with the consultant for CDBG to try to figure out a path forward. It would be fair to say that it continues to be a fairly complex trajectory. However, I did receive this week a phone call from a local nonprofit who could be interested. So I'll be meeting with that nonprofit next week and touring the facility with them, and hopefully, with any luck, everybody knock on wood, cross your fingers, and do all the things. We'll find a path forward to put 911 Eubanks to work for the community, because it's a great property.
It is. I appreciate your work on that, because I know it has been ongoing since the day you became the executive director.
That is correct.
So we really do appreciate that. Thank you.
And another question.
Yes,
think, what's the asking price for that property?
The tax assessed value of the property as it now stands is $105,000. It's generally the practice of this board to ask 75% of that. However, the fact that the improvements to the property were funded by the Community Development Block Grant, that complicates the whole situation. So $230,000 of CDBG funds were utilized to move the house and put the house on a new foundation and do the site preparation. So essentially what would happen is whatever we sold the parcel for, whatever is left over, the delta between $230,000 and what we sell it for would be put into a secondary lien in the name of CDBG for a period of 20 years. And after 20 years, it would most likely be forgiven so long as low to moderate income families were being served by that housing. So all of these items are reasons that contribute to the complexity of the overall project, but we're untangling it and working inch by inch to get it through.
Now, I want to mention one more. I don't want to call it a problem, But location can be a problem when you begin building houses. That's one thing I'm concerned about. Your neighbors per se. And that really concerns me about all of them. When you have a small parcel, you put $250,000, you look at your surroundings, your comfortables, and what you come up with. That will deplete your value of any house, may I say. So I think that's something we need to be, take some precaution on.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
All right. So we thank you for your staff report, and the 11th agenda item is our officer election. It is the month of August, which is when we started all those years ago. So I'm going to turn that over to you, Sal.
Okay. All right, in accordance with the rule of procedure of the Redevelopment Commission, every August a ballot vote shall be conducted to name chair and vice chair for the commission. Several commissioners have recommended Beth Walker to continue her role as chairperson, and several others were recommended but declined to accept that recommendation. Tabari Wallace has been recommended to serve as vice chair. Again, several others were recommended but declined to accept. So our two candidates tonight on the ballot as shown are Beth Walker for chair and Tabari Wallace for vice chair. In accordance with our rules and procedures, it is time to do a ballot vote. And at this time, I will hand it over to our Assistant City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director.
So moved.
Before we get there, just a couple of notes for you to consider in this process. The ballot that has been, the draft ballot, shall I say, that has been prepared for you is based on, I think, staff's assessment and some conversations with individuals on the commission. So your first order of business tonight is one, to move to use this ballot. If there are other people who would like to be considered for these officer positions, you certainly can entertain those individuals at this time. If not, step one is to have a motion and second and vote to use the ballot that has been presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, questions that the commission has before we move forward with that?
No, ma'am.
Everybody's shaking their head no. Okay. So procedurally, we use the ballot in front of us and...
You want to have a voice vote on the motion.
all in favor? Okay. All in favor of this motion to move forward with the ballot?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Now that
motion
you have
carries.
agreed on a slate of officers and as indicated on the ballot before you, you will need to complete your ballot. Your ballots are public documents. So first order of business is you'd like to write your name on the ballot so we know who's voting for what. And then you can make your selections of the candidates as proposed. Once you have completed that process, if you'll just signify by raising that paper in the air, Mr. Executive Director will retrieve it from you, and he will assess the results of the ballots.
No ID is required.
Or just print your name down there, whatever.
I don't think we have one really. That is on the next. The other thing I would like to say about August is I believe it is the month that this is Sarah Proctor's end of your term. Is that really? Is that up for discussion or is that a done deal? Because I will say this, we have really enjoyed your legal perspective and your fresh take on a lot of issues as you came on at a time when a lot of us have been on the board for a long time and you really brought a new, fresh way of looking at things. So I wish it was not a time when you were rolling off.
Can we influence it?
Yeah, can we influence
I mean,
that?
is the board members The city council responsible for replacing Ms. Proctor, city attorney?
Yes.
The governing board makes the appointments, yes. So,
Can we make a recommendation, like in this meeting, maybe to the governing?
I will say with all of our appointed boards, if a person is eligible to continue their service and they're willing, they can notify the city clerk, and the city clerk will circulate that information to those who make the appointments.
You gonna do it
Seems
for
to
yourself?
be
or
a
do we
general
do it?
consensus that everybody would love you to do that.
But, I mean, are you willing to stay on? Okay, all right.
All right. So maybe it's not goodbye, it's just,
See you later is what it is.
it's a renewal,
Zeb,
and
when
that's
do
a
they
good
vote
thing, because
on
we
it
really
when somebody
do.
puts it on their agenda? When do they vote on it when somebody puts it on their agenda?
She's the only one losing term.
I think she's the only one that rolls this month, this year, correct?
I'm next.
You're next?
That's next year.
Oh,
Okay.
next year. Okay, I'm like, what?
Are you next?
As you've seen, it takes a while to get momentum and get a full understanding of everything that's going on, and so I think the commission,
Eubanks happened my first meeting, so it's just
Still working on
an example there.
well, but we really appreciate the work you do, and, I know it's always extra for everybody to come after work anyway. All right.
As a point of order, Madam Chair, I would just like to congratulate you on a unanimous acceptance and congratulate Mr. Tabari Wallace as the new vice chair. So,
You were near unanimous.
Oh, you wait till this.
Tabari, it's going to be a year of traveling for me next year. Just so
Oh,
you know.
no. I seen Kip when he had to do it. Madam Chair, before we go
Okay.
close, can I have 2 minutes?
Yes, and I'm not sure we have we'd say it's a closed session. Do we have anything to discuss in closed
we
session?
have no need for
Okay.
a closed session
So you
tonight.
can take the closed session time.
Awesome. Thank you. Ms. Sampson actually brought something to my attention that I failed to let y'all know. 2 Saturdays ago, I think it was, we had a Stop the Violence rally right there beside the Flame in the old Flame building. And it was it was massively attended. It was a shocker even to the ones who put it on. We had Mayor Jeffrey Odom speak. Sheriff Chip Hughes was a big support and contributor. He had David McFadden come and give greetings from the Creighton County Sheriff's Office, and a standing ovation was had for Carlos Hughes, the sergeant of our area, which we govern, the redevelopment area from New Bern Police Department. But I brought all of that up to say is, when you see a scene like that where the city comes together and law enforcement comes together for a cause, I'm not saying this event caused it, but there was one crime that was in our neighborhood that was outstanding. Within 3 days of the Stop the Rally, that's where we kind of urge citizens to work with law enforcement, to assist in these matters. An arrest was made. And that in itself is progress and to me a success. Bringing everybody together and having that event. So I just wanted to use this time to really thank Mayor Odom, Sheriff Chip Hughes, and New Bern Police Department for what they did, and also to the people that put it on. They did I think it's NC Bottle Bunnies or something, but they put on a great deal, and apparently by popular demand, this is going to be an annual event. So when it comes up again, I'll make sure to be responsible and to let y'all know, and then maybe we can get more involved in this great event.
I agree. Please do let us know, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you again, Ms. Sampson, for sharing the news you did, and we love to be in the know of what's going on. So thank you for that. We don't have a closed session. We have no need for that tonight. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Speak now.